Yo, what is up guys? Before you watch this video, please don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. It super helps my video out in the algorithm, and let's get right into the video. Yo, what is up guys? Today we're going to be reviewing the Paul George 6s. Now, instead of doing what I like the most about the shoe and going down to what I like the least, I'm just going to be giving my honest thoughts about the shoe. I thought that I should try to make my shoe reviews a little bit more shorter. Personally, that's just what I want to do with my videos, so let's see how this goes and give me some feedback about this review in the comments below. Alright, now I know the Paul George 6s have been out for quite some time now. However, I wanted to review them because there's a lot of shoes from Nike coming in at $110. The Paul George 6s are also $110, and I wanted to see how they stack up against some of the new shoes as the year wraps up. So, if you know the Paul George line, you know that they're usually extremely cushiony, and they're also very budget friendly. Due to this, I'm a very big fan of the shoe. Personally, I always play in two separate pairs of shoes in my rotation, so I always have a low to the ground, not so cushioned shoe, and then I will switch to a more cushioned, more padded shoe. And having the Paul Georges in the past only come out to about $100 to $110 really has kind of solidified them as one of my favorite shoes. However, with the Paul George 6s, although there is no price change, the cushioning has changed a lot, so that's something that I noticed a lot. Basically, in the Paul George 6s, the heel-to-toe transition is very good, but there is almost no padding in the forefoot. Basically, the front of the shoe is just slammed to the ground, and you're going to feel that a lot while you play. So, personally, for me, the cushioning is a big downgrade. Unfortunately, the cushioning in the Paul George 6 is only full-length React cushioning. There is no air units in this shoe, and it just felt like a bottomed out Paul George 5. So yeah, basically the cushioning on this shoe is very underwhelming for a Paul George, and it is no longer the cushion king that I've expected it to be. All right, now moving on to another element of the shoe, we're going to be talking about the traction of the Paul George 6s. As a reminder, the Paul George 5s have that very famous color or Kobe 9 traction pattern that a lot of people believe is the most superior traction pattern of all time. Personally, when I used the old Paul George 5s, I had a very good traction experience. However, in the Paul George 6s, we see this kind of new bubble traction pattern. It does a great job. If I had to give it a score out of 10, I would say it's an 8 out of 10. On outdoor courts, it performed pretty well, and on indoor courts, I didn't have to worry about it at all. Also, wiping the shoe is extremely easy. The shoe doesn't collect that much dust, but when it does, a quick wipe with your hand without a lot of force kind of gets rid of all the dust. So the traction's good. I was surprised to see a new colorway or new pattern had kind of emerged for the shoe. But the one thing I will say about the traction is the bubble pattern. It doesn't look like it's going to be very durable. I did not own this shoe long enough to see how it would work over the months, but I just suspect from feeling it and from the pattern itself, it's not going to be the most durable pair. So I highly suggest if you're going to buy this shoe, get an XDR or an extra durable outsole. Usually that's about an extra $10, but it's going to prolong the life of this budget shoe significantly. All right, now getting into the third element of the shoe, we're going to be talking about the lacing system, the lockdown of the system, the fit of the shoe, and the support. So the lacing system is something that I hold to a high praise in my basketball shoes. For me, I like to tie my laces fairly tightly. Unfortunately, with the Paul George 6s, when I tied my laces extremely tightly, it really hurt my foot. I felt a lot of lace pain despite the tongue being very cushioned. So that was kind of a big downgrade of the shoe. The Paul George 5s had a great lacing system that I could tie fairly tightly without any foot pain. Additionally, the fit of the shoe runs extremely long, and the material of the shoe expands as you play in the shoe. So when I first put the shoe on, I thought, oh, it's a little bit snug. But as I play in the shoe on like a Saturday, if I'm an hour in or 30 minutes in, the shoe expands due to the material that it's made out of. And then I would have to retie the shoe after the first game. And my first game would always be a little bit worrisome because I would kind of slide around in the shoe. So I would highly advise that everyone goes down half a size in the shoe because when you put your foot into the shoe, it will expand over time. So the lacing system, underwhelming. The fit, go down half a size. And for the lockdown, I felt that the lockdown was pretty good, but I felt like when I was going to side, I was fine. But when I would try to stop on a dime or do a floater off of one foot, I did feel my foot slide forward in the shoe. So the lockdown of this shoe, it's not the best, but maybe going down half a size will fix that issue. All right, so now we're going to get into a little bit of a miscellaneous category with the shoe. So I'm going to be talking about the materials. I'm also going to be talking about some of the weird issues that I had with the shoe personally. So the materials of the shoe for $110 is pretty good. For $110, when you look at the shoe and when you feel the shoe on your foot and when you feel the materials with your hands, it does seem like you're getting a great deal for $110. I personally would imagine this shoe is probably sitting about $130 if someone just gave it to me with no context. So I think the materials for $110 are good. But does that mean that I necessarily think that the shoe is the best $110 shoe that Nike has to offer? Well, let's take a look at the shoes right now that are available, because I kind of want to touch on some of the things that you could get that might be better for $110. All right, so when we look at some of the shoes that we can get for about $110, right away, I'm already going to tell you that if you can get the KD14s, that is a better shoe. Additionally, if you want something that is a little bit more durable, the Zions are a fairly good shoe. I know some people have had issues with the traction, but I have heard great things about this shoe. Additionally, if you have narrow feet, the Cosmic Unities, and I mean really narrow feet, the Cosmic Unities are superior in cushioning in every way. I personally really liked these shoes. However, I just could not wear them because they're too narrow for me. But this colorway here is only $106. You know, the most expensive one's $150, but for $110, it's just better than the Paul Georges. Also, if cushioning is not an issue and you want a shoe that is extremely good in the traction department and is very responsive and feels a little bit more like a springboard, the Luka ones are very good. I have those right now. And lastly, if you want a shoe that is a little bit less stable, but kind of offers something that would be more expectable from a Paul George line, the new LeBron Witnesses that I have here are a great option. I believe these are also in the $110 price range. I see the 6s here for $105, for even less it looks like. These have already dropped in price. I'm kind of sad because I got these for $110. But yeah, the LeBron 7 Witness is also a great option. So personally for me, I think the Paul Georges this year are a pass, but we're going to talk a little bit more about the shoe before I fully give my full breakdown on why you might not want to get the shoe. All right, guys. So the last thing that I'm going to say about the shoe is the breathability of the shoe. So the issue that I had the most about this shoe was breathability. My shoe got extremely sweaty. I sweat through the shoe and it was extremely smelly. Like, I have never had this issue, and I know it sounds like a very strange nitpick, but my feet smelled so bad and the shoe smelled so bad that while I was playing in the shoe, I could smell it. I don't know if anybody on the court was kind of smelling it as well. They definitely were, but they never complained to me. But that is another factor. If you want a shoe that's breathable, the Paul George 6s were not breathable in my experience. A lot of the other shoe reviewers will say they're fairly breathable, but for me, the shoe was a smelly, stinky mess. Like, it was just not the best. All right, so what is my final review or consensus about the Paul George 6s? Personally, for me, if I had to give these a score out of 100, I would give them an 80 out of 100. That may seem a little bit high, but the shoe is fairly reliable, and it's not like I came off the court necessarily disliking them. They just didn't do anything extremely well, and I really wanted these shoes to have good cushioning, which was one of their weakest areas. Additionally, there are just so many options at $110 from Nike and Adidas that are just maybe a little bit better depending on what you want from a shoe. So personally, I would say as of right now, Paul George 6s, probably not something that you should pick up. I've had a lot of people asking if those are a good shoe to pick up right now, and I'm just going to have to be honest and say no. I think that you should not purchase these shoes. There's just not a lot that the shoe offers. So thank you guys so much for watching my basketball shoe reviews. Please give me some feedback on this shoe review, and I will see you guys in the next video.